You know that feeling, right? Staring at a blank page, the exam clock just ticking away. It's stressful. Well, today we are going to open up a strategic toolkit that's going to turn that panic into a top score. So yeah, let's dive right in. It's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you actually ace one of these things? How do you take all that pressure, that ticking clock, and turn it into something you can be proud of?
Because here's the secret, and it's a big one. Acing these exams isn't just about having good ideas. Nope, it's all about showing off your command of the language. It's about having the right grammatical tools in your back pocket and knowing exactly when and, more importantly, how to use them.
Okay, so first things first, we need to understand the challenge itself. Before you can pick the right tool for the job, you have to know what you're up against, right? So let's break down the structure of a typical writing exam.
You've got 50 minutes. That's it, 50. And in that tiny window, you've got a whole bunch of tasks to get through, all connected to one single theme. Like, say, joining a new cooking club. It's a total race against the clock, which means being efficient is everything.
So what does this race actually look like? Well, it's split into 4 parts. It kind of eases you in, starting with 5 super short answers. Then you've got 1 short paragraph. After that, things get interesting. You're basically in a group chat, writing 3 different replies. And then you get to the main event, writing 2 very different emails, one to a friend and one that's super formal. It really tests if you can switch up your style.
All right, let's open up that toolkit. Our very first power tool is the relative clause. Now this is what takes your writing from simple and kind of choppy to smooth, sophisticated, and impressive. It's how you weave in those rich details that make an examiner sit up and take notice.
So what is a relative clause, really? Well, simply put, it's just a way to add extra information about something using a word like who or which. Its whole job is to take 2 clunky sentences and fuse them into one elegant one. So instead of saying, my brother lives in London, he is coming to Spain, you get something much, much smoother.
Now, pay attention, because this is where it gets really interesting. There are 2 types of these clauses, and the difference is absolutely crucial. Defining clauses give you essential info. You literally can't understand the sentence without them. Notice, no commas. But non-defining clauses, they just add some extra, cool but not necessary detail. And here's the key. They're always tucked in between commas. That tiny bit of punctuation changes the entire meaning. It's huge.
And here's a perfect example. See, my brother is coming to Spain next weekend. That sentence works perfectly on its own. The bit in the middle, who lives in London, is just some fun extra information. It's a classic non-defining clause, sitting there between its 2 little comma bodyguards, and it instantly makes your writing sound way more advanced.
Okay, time for tool number 2 in our kit. This one is a classic, a challenge lots of people face. When do you use the ing form of a verb, the gerund, and when do you use to plus the verb, the infinitive? Nailing this is a massive signal to the examiner that you really know your stuff.
Let's start with the gerund, the ing guy. The rules here are actually pretty straightforward. You use it when the action itself is the subject, like cooking is my biggest passion. You also always use it after a preposition, so you're interested in joining the club, not in to join. And finally, there's just a list of verbs like enjoy, avoid, and finish that are always followed by a gerund. You just got to learn them.
Now on the flip side, we have the infinitive, to plus the verb. This one has its own rules. The biggest one is showing purpose, why you're doing something. I am writing to apply for the job. You also use it after a lot of adjectives, like it's important to be on time. And, just like gerunds, there's a list of verbs like decide, hope, and plan that always want an infinitive to follow.
But listen up, because this is probably the most important part. For some verbs, your choice isn't just about grammar. It completely changes the meaning of what you're saying. Remember to bring something is for the future. Remember meeting someone is a memory from the past. I stopped to buy water means I paused my trip. I stopped smoking means I quit a habit. Wow, right? Getting this right is how you go from good to great.
Okay, so we've got our tools. We've got our relative clauses, our infinitives, our gerunds. Now what? Well, let's actually put them to work. We're going to look at part 4 of the exam, where you write those 2 emails, because this is where you really get to show off everything you've learned.
So for that email to your friend, you get to be casual and relaxed. You can start with a simple hi. You can use fun, punchy phrases like what great news or what a pity. You can even shorten because to cuz. And you close it off with something warm and friendly, like lots of love. Easy peasy. But then, bam! You have to slam on the brakes and switch gears completely for that formal email to the club secretary. Everything changes. The greeting becomes, "To whom it may concern." The phrases are super structured. "I am writing in response to," instead of "'cause," you're using fancy connectors like "due to the fact that." And you have to close with something traditional, like "yours faithfully."
And that's the whole game right there. Being able to effortlessly switch between those two styles, from totally casual to super formal, proves you have real control over the language. Choosing the right vocabulary for the right situation is, without a doubt, a direct path to a much higher score.
So, we've picked apart the exam. We've filled our toolkit. What's the one big idea? The main takeaway you need to hold on to when that 50-minute timer starts ticking.
It all boils down to this simple formula. First, understand the structure. What is this question actually asking for? A chat reply, a formal email. Then you deliberately pick the right tools for that structure. Do I need a fancy non-defining clause here? Does this verb need an infinitive or a gerund? Matching the right tool to the right structure, well, that isn't just a strategy. It's your blueprint for success. So as you keep practicing, I want to leave you with this question. What's that one little corner of English grammar that you actually find kind of cool or interesting? What's your cup of tea, so to speak? Because honestly, focusing on the parts you enjoy is the absolute best way to master this language. Keep at it, and thanks for dropping by for this explainer.